The king of the north!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife, hold no lands, father no children. I shall wear no crowns and win no glory. I shall live and die at my post. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night and all the nights to come.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Icenfire here, and welcome to the channel. The world of Westeros and beyond is home to a great deal of dark and mysterious locations. Locations that are still considered cursed even to this day after all of the evil and dark atrocities that took place there. But one location in particular may stand above and beyond the rest in terms of the vile number of accounts that took place therein, and that is, of course, none other than the Nightfort. The Nightfort is the oldest and largest of all of the castles along the wall, twice as old as Castle Black. And while in our current story, the Nightfort stands as little more than a haunted ruin of days past, it once stood as the very pinnacle of strength that the Night's Watch once held. According to maesters who once served at the Nightfort, the castle was built and rebuilt numerous times throughout the centuries, and consisted of buildings including bell towers, rookeries, brewhouses, libraries, and its own dungeon capable of housing 500 prisoners. But if the Nightfort is known for anything, it is for the many scary stories that date back thousands of years that every child of the North is familiar with. And today, we are going to be taking a look at some of the darkest and most mysterious events that took place at the Nightfort over the centuries, starting with the most infamous story in the history of the Night's Watch, the tale of the Night's King and his corpse queen. The infamous tale of the Night's King is one story that every child hears growing up in the North, and has served as a cautionary tale for centuries. The Night's King was a legendary figure from the Age of Heroes, said to be the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. His given name has, however, been wiped from history, although many believe that he was a Stark of Winterfell. According to legend, the Night King lived not long after the wall was completed. While serving of the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, he fell in love with a woman that he saw from atop the wall. This woman had skin white as the moon and eyes like blue stars, and her skin was cold as ice. But the Night's King, being a fearless warrior, chased her and caught her and loved her, and it is said that when he gave her his seed, he gave her his soul as well. It was then that the Night's King brought this woman back to the Nightfort and declared her his queen and himself king. With strange sorceries, he managed to bound his fellow brothers of the Night's Watch to his will, where they committed many dark atrocities, and ruled from the Nightfort for 13 years. During the darkest years of his reign, it is said that horrific acts were committed, of which tales are still told in the North to this day. It wasn't until Brandon the Breaker, the king in the North at the time, and Jorman, the king beyond the wall, joined forces that the Night King was eventually brought down, and the Night's Watch was freed from his grip. After the Night's King fell, it was discovered that he had been making sacrifices to the others, and it was then that all records of his true-born given name were destroyed, making his true identity lost to history. In A Storm of Swords, Bran Stark recalls a story about the Night's King that old Nan once told him, stating that Nan would always end the story saying that some people believed the Night's King was a Bolton, a Magnar of Scargos, an Umber, a Flint, a Nori, or a Woodford, but she would then say that none of these were true, that the Night's King was indeed a Stark of Winterfell, brother to the man who brought him down. Yet the tale of the Night's King only begins to scratch the surface of all of the dark events that took place at the Nightfort over the centuries, like the tale of the Rat Cook. According to legend, the man that would become known as the Rat Cook was a simple cook in the Night's Watch. It is said that an Andal king once visited the Nightfort, where the Rat King cooked up a plan for revenge against the king that once did him wrong. The Rat Cook reportedly killed the king's son and cooked him inside a pie that was then later served to the king. And it is even said that the king praised the cook's cooking and even asked for a second helping. Because of this, it is said that the gods became angered, not because the cook had committed murder, nor because he had made the king become a cannibal, but because the cook had slain a guest beneath his roof. The rule of guest right is something that the gods take very seriously. Because of this atrocity, it is said that the gods cursed the Rat King into becoming a giant white rat who was unable to eat anything but his own young. And according to legend, the Rat King is an enormous white rat who still lives in the Nightfort today, and all the other rats that inhabit the Nightfort are his descendants. Despite the fact that this incident supposedly took place hundreds of years before Aegon's Landing, the song is still used today to represent the repercussions of those who violate guest right and the sacred laws of hospitality. But up next we have the tale of the Thing That Came in the Night, which is said to be a monstrous creature from the tales of the Nightfort. Long ago, it is said that multiple apprentice boys at the Nightfort claimed to have seen something which came in the night, but their descriptions of it differed when they informed their Lord Commander. 3 of the 4 boys, however, all died within 1 year of the event, with the 4th going mad. The Thing in the Night is said to have returned a century later, this time with the 3 apprentice boys shambling behind it in chains. Very little is known as to what actually the Thing in the Night really was, although Bran Stark counts it as one of the most frightening tales that Old Nan ever told him about the Nightfort. During a storm of swords, while at the Nightfort, Bran Stark tries very hard to avoid thinking about the thing that came in the night, and becomes scared when a large figure starts to emerge from a well, which later turns out to only be Samwell Tarly and Gilly. Another tale that Bran tries very hard to avoid thinking about while at the Nightfort is the tale of Mad Axe. Mad Axe is said to be a member of the Night's Watch who is famous for murdering his fellow brothers at the Nightfort. Very little is known about his appearance other than the fact that he had a red beard. According to the story, he took off his boots and prowled the halls of the Night's Fort silently at night and murdered his brothers. The only noise made came from the blood dripping off his axe, his elbows, and his wet beard. Very little is known about Mad Axe and what secretly influenced him to turn on his brothers, although we do start to see a pattern throughout the Nightfort that something very dark is at present there and can influence people into committing heinous acts. Another infamous story from the annals of the Nightfort is the story of the 79 Sentinels. According to legend, the 79 Sentinels were 79 deserters of the Night's Watch who abandoned their post at the Nightfort and went south becoming outlaws. It is said that one of the deserters was the youngest son of Lord Roswell, and that the deserters sought shelter within the lands of House Roswell. But instead they were captured and returned to the Wall. As a punishment, holes were cut into the wall and each of the deserters were placed in their own hole with spears and horns, at which point the holes were then sealed up with the men inside buried alive. It is said that they left their post in life, so in death their watch goes on forever. But perhaps one of the most mysterious and magical elements of the Nightfort remains the Black Gate. The Black Gate is said to be a magical, hidden subterranean gate that allows passage from one side of the wall to the other, and is said to be as old as the wall itself. The gate is made up of white weirwood with a face on it. The face is old, pale, shrunken, and wrinkled with white eyes, and the door itself is said to glow with the color of milk and moonlight. When someone approaches the Black Gate, the eyes open. They are white and blind, and the door then asks, "Who are you?" A man of the Night's Watch must then repeat his Night's Watch vow, at which point the door will then open and say, "Then pass." At which point the door's lips open wider and wider until nothing remains but a great gaping mouth and a ring of wrinkles. During a storm of swords, we see Sam, Gilly, Bran, Hodor, Mira, and Jojen all arrive at the Nightfort and at the Black Gate, where Sam goes on to help Bran cross the gate itself. The Black Gate, Sam had called it, but it wasn't black at all. It was white weirwood, and there was a face on it. A glow came from the wood, like milk and moonlight, so faint it scarcely seemed to touch anything beyond the door itself, not even Sam standing right in front of it. The face was old and pale, wrinkled and shrunken. It looks dead. Its mouth was closed, and its eyes. Its cheeks were sunken, its brow withered, its chin sagging. If a man could live for 1,000 years and never die but just grow older, his face might come to look like that, Sam thought. The door opened its eyes. They were white too, and blind. "Who are you?" the door asked. "I am the sword in the darkness," Samwell Tarly said. "I am the watcher on the walls. I am the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers. I am the shield that guards the realms of men." "Then pass," the door said. It slipped open, wide and wider still, until nothing at all remained but a great gaping mouth and a ring of wrinkles. Sam stepped aside and waved Jojen through ahead of him. Summer followed, sniffing as he went. And then it was Bran's turn. Hodor ducked, but not low enough. The door's upper lip brushed softly against the top of Sam's head, and a drip of water fell on him and ran slowly down his nose. It was strangely warm and salty as a tear. So clearly, not only is the Nightfort the oldest and largest of the castles along the wall, but it also clearly has a magical element to it as well, as does the wall itself. Overall, the Nightfort remains one of the darkest and most mysterious locations in all of Westeros and beyond, and clearly seems to have some sort of insidious element to it that can influence people into committing dark and violent acts. And to this day, still remains one of the scariest places in all of the Northern Legends. But that is going to do it for us today on the history of the Nightfort and some of the dark and mysterious acts that took place there. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to hit a like on your way out, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications as well to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and a huge thank you to all of the channel members, and we will see you on the next one.
King in the North!
Dracarys.
I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.